this movie. I honestly cannot even begin to explain to you how it happened.
To work with some of the fantastic cast that are in this universe.
Like walking through the same door I walked through at 24, making the third movie, loving life, confident, enjoying everything that's happening to me.
Before Spider-Man, Tom Holland kept losing roles because he was too small. Marvel didn't fix that problem. They weaponized it. And almost no one realizes why that gamble worked. Hollywood usually mistakes presence for power. Bigger frame, louder voice, immediate authority. Tom Holland had none of that, and for years it quietly worked against him. He kept hearing the same message in different forms. Not commanding enough, not convincing enough, not built for the roles people remember. What no one expected was that the very thing costing him work would become the foundation of a global character reboot. Marvel didn't want another flawless hero. They wanted someone who still looked like he was becoming one. So ask yourself honestly before we continue. When the world keeps telling you you're lacking something, do you try to fix it or learn how to use it? Before Tom Holland became Spider-Man, he didn't look like anyone Hollywood would ever build a franchise around. He was short, young, soft-spoken. He didn't have the physical presence studios usually chased. And he didn't project the kind of confidence that fills casting rooms. In an industry obsessed with height, muscle, and certainty, Holland looked like someone who would be overlooked without a second thought. But what he carried instead was something far more difficult to manufacture. Discipline, focus, and a relentless desire to improve. Holland grew up in dance studios, rehearsal rooms, and small theater stages. Ballet trained his body to move with control and precision. Stage work trained his timing, vulnerability, and awareness. And rejection trained his patience. He lost auditions constantly, often to actors who were louder, taller, and more immediately impressive. Each rejection chipped away at confidence but sharpened resilience. He learned how to work quietly, how to listen, and how to wait. At that stage in his life, Holland wasn't dreaming of superheroes. He was trying to survive the grind of being a young actor in a world that rarely stops to nurture potential. Nobody was looking for the next Spider-Man, including him. By the time Marvel Studios prepared to reintroduce Spider-Man, the role carried a weight few actors would willingly pick up. 2 previous versions, 2 reboots, massive global expectations. Audiences loved Spider-Man, but they were exhausted by repetition. Another origin story risked feeling unnecessary. Whoever stepped into the suit next wouldn't be welcomed easily. They would be scrutinized, compared, and judged from the first frame. Marvel knew they couldn't rely on spectacle anymore. The character needed emotional truth. Youth without weakness, awkwardness without irritation, vulnerability without self-pity. They needed someone who could feel real in a universe filled with gods and legends. Someone who didn't dominate the screen but invited audiences closer. This time, Marvel wasn't looking for a star they could mold. They were looking for belief. Someone who felt like Peter Parker before he ever felt like Spider-Man. Someone who could remind audiences why this character mattered in the first place. The margin for error was razor thin. One wrong choice could permanently damage one of the most beloved characters in modern pop culture. Tom Holland's audition process was grueling. Months of secrecy. Multiple rounds, chemistry tests, physical training, emotional scenes performed under pressure when he wasn't told where he stood or how he was doing. Silence followed every step. For a young actor, that silence was brutal. Doubt crept in constantly. Had he done enough? Had he said the right thing? Had Marvel already moved on? But when Holland walked into the room, something unexpected happened. He didn't try to impress. He didn't perform confidence he didn't feel. He simply showed up as himself. He moved like Spider-Man instinctively, shaped by years of dance. He joked like Peter Parker naturally, not rehearsed. His nervous energy wasn't forced, it was honest. Marvel executives weren't watching technique, they were watching instinct. How he reacted, how he listened, how he existed in the space. It didn't feel like an audition. It felt like discovery. When Marvel finally made their decision, there was no dramatic phone call, no private meeting. Holland found out scrolling through Instagram, seeing the announcement like the rest of the world. His life changed in seconds. Tom Holland didn't get a gentle introduction to the role. He was thrown directly into the deep end. His first appearance wasn't a solo film designed to ease audiences into him. It was Captain America: Civil War, a massive ensemble film packed with established characters and legendary actors. He was the youngest person on set, the least experienced, the most replaceable. But Holland didn't try to compete. He leaned into exactly what made him different. His Spider-Man wasn't cool. He was excited, nervous, overwhelmed. He talked too much. He reacted too quickly. He made mistakes. And suddenly the screen felt alive again. Sharing scenes with icons could have crushed him. Instead, it sharpened him. Holland listened more than he spoke. He absorbed energy instead of fighting it. His performance didn't demand attention. It earned it. In a movie filled with gods and soldiers, the kid in homemade web shooters somehow stole hearts. Without trying to dominate, Holland made Spider-Man feel like the most human person in the room. When Spider-Man: Homecoming released, the response was immediate and emotional. This Spider-Man felt familiar in a way audiences didn't realize they missed. He wasn't polished. He failed publicly. He panicked privately. He wanted to prove himself too badly, and that desperation felt real. Holland didn't play Spider-Man as a myth or symbol. He played him as a kid, learning responsibility one mistake at a time. The suit didn't give him confidence. It exposed his insecurity. The power didn't make him a hero. His choices did. Audiences didn't just accept the Spider-Man. They rooted for him. They defended him. They felt protective in a way that hadn't happened before. Watching Peter Parker struggle felt personal. His fear felt earned. His victories felt fragile. For the first time in years, Spider-Man wasn't being rebooted. He was being understood. As the MCU matured, so did Peter Parker. The jokes softened. The optimism thinned. Loss arrived suddenly and stayed longer than expected. Holland allowed that change to happen naturally. He didn't rush maturity. He let it settle into his posture, his silence, his eyes. By the time Avengers Endgame arrived, Spider-Man wasn't just the kid anymore. He was someone who understood what it meant to lose everything and still stand up. His fear felt heavier. His hope felt harder won. Holland didn't overplay the emotion. He trusted it. Growing up happened on screen and off. Audiences watched a teenager become a young man in real time. The character evolved because the actor did. And that authenticity made the journey impossible to fake. Tom Holland didn't become Spider-Man because he fit the costume. He became Spider-Man because he understood growth. Peter Parker isn't about power. He's about learning when power is necessary and when restraint matters more. Holland brought vulnerability without weakness, courage without arrogance, humor without hiding. He didn't try to replace what came before. He honored it by returning to the character's emotional core. Spider-Man has always been about becoming, about failing, learning, and choosing responsibility even when it hurts. Holland didn't just play a hero rising. He played a kid growing up in front of the world. And that's why this version stayed. Because audiences didn't just watch Spider-Man swing through cities, they watched someone become himself. That is how Tom Holland became Spider-Man. Tom Holland didn't become Spider-Man by fixing what Hollywood called a flaw. He became Spider-Man by letting that flaw stay visible. Marvel didn't want someone who looked finished. They wanted someone who still felt like he was becoming. And that's why this version worked when others couldn't. Now, I want to hear your perspective. Do you think Spider-Man only works when he feels unfinished? Or could this version have existed any other way? Write your answer in the comments. And if you enjoy stories that break down why casting choices actually work instead of just celebrating them after the fact, subscribe. Because the characters that last aren't built from perfection, they're built from the things people once said weren't enough.